let's talk about some awesome crochet patterns that were released this July. Hello everyone, Rochelle here, and I'm back to share some yarn goodness with y'all today. Alright, so today we're going to talk about new and free patterns that were released in the month of July. I think we have a few days left. And so all the patterns today are going to either be available as a free download or free on the designer's blog. And we are going to be talking about garments, accessories, and patterns for the home. All right, so let's get started with patterns that are garments. Okay, the first one we have is the Stargazer Hooded Tee, designed by Liz Salazar for Premier Yarns. And you're going to hear her name quite a lot today because she has some beautiful patterns. This particular pattern calls for DK weight yarn, and the bust circumference ranges between 38.5 to 67.5 inches, and that's 97.8 to 171.5 centimeters. You will need a 4mm G hook, and in terms of skills, you'll need to know how to chain, double crochet, foundation single crochet, increase and decrease, and seam with the mattress stitch, excuse me, and the whip stitch. It is worked in 4 pieces. You have the right front with the sleeve, the left front with the sleeve, the right back with the sleeve, and the left back with the sleeve. So remember, this is going to be seamed together, so you're going to be seaming the sleeves at different points. Now, each of the 4 pieces are worked from the top down, and the hood is crocheted separately and sewn around the neck opening after the other pieces are seamed together. So if you don't mind seaming up your crochet projects, this is a really good pattern for you. All right, our next pattern is the Top Tier Tank, designed by Ashley Shoemaker of Heart Hook Home. This one calls for DK weight yarn, and the bust circumference ranges between 31 to 63 inches, and that's 78.7 to 160 centimeters. You will need a 4mm G hook for this one, and I want to mention your tension, your gauge might be different from the designers, so you might have to go up a hook size or down a hook size, so keep that in mind. Okay, so you will need to know how to do a few skills. You'll need to know how to chain, double crochet, foundation half double crochet, single crochet 2 together, and slip stitch. So this is a really fun tank top that uses a very simple stitch, and that stitch is called the Suzette stitch. Have you ever heard of that? I had never heard of that, but the designer says that this stitch pattern is comprised of single crochets and double crochets. And she says that it is similar to the lemon peel stitch with one slight modification. So if you're used to the lemon peel stitch, the Suzette stitch would be really fun. All right, so our third pattern is the Split Tone, designed by Liz Salazar for Premier Yarns, and it calls for DK weight yarn, and the bust circumference ranges between 34 to 66 inches, and that's 86.5 to 167.5 centimeters. So you will need a 4mm G hook. We're going to be using that hook a lot today, I see. So, of course, you need some skills. You need to know how to chain, herringbone half double crochet, seaming with the whip stitch, increasing and decreasing. And so this pattern is worked in 4 pieces. So you're going to have your right front, your left front, your right back, and your left back, and then those will have the sleeves worked into them as well. And then each of the 4 pieces are worked from the bottom up and then seamed together. All right, that sounds fun. And I was thinking about this pattern, and I think it would be so cool is like if you had variegated yarn on one side and solid color yarn on the other side, or either 2 different solid color yarns. That would just be so much fun. All right, our next pattern is the Marina top, designed by Zara Lily Pearl Design, And this one calls for sport weight yarn. And the bust circumference ranges between 30.3 to 64.2 inches. And that's 77 to 163 centimeters. This one also calls for a 4mm G-hook. And in terms of skills, you will need to know how to chain, double crochet, foundation single crochet, foundation half double crochet, and single crochet. So this design features a boat neck and it's cropped with waist shaping, and the top is worked from the bottom up in the round up to the armhole. And then you have your sleeves that you split for, and then your shoulder shaping. So there is a little work involved with that one, but not too bad. I think y'all can handle it. Okay, the next one is super fun. These are called the ribbed shorts, and it is designed by Liz Salazar for Premier Yarns, and it is made with Aran weight yarn. I don't think we've had shorts on any of these roundup yet. I don't think so. So the hip circumference ranges between 34 to 62 inches, and that's 86.4 to 157.5 centimeters. And it has an inseam between 4 and 7 inches. And in centimeters, that is 10.2 to 17.8. I really like how these shorts accommodate for larger sizes. It makes the inseam longer with each hip circumference. Love that. All right, so you will need 2 crochet hooks for this one. You'll need a 4mm G hook, and you will need a 5mm H hook. So the skills you'll need include chain, single crochet, slip stitch joining, working in turned rows, in and join rows, working through back loops and front loops of the stitches. Really easy. And the main section of these shorts are worked flat from side to side. And then the waistband is crocheted directly onto the main section of the shorts. So that's really fun. You work on your shorts, finish that up, and then you're going to pick up and add that waistband. So yeah, I really like that. Okay, let's go to our next pattern. It is the Sun Dappled Motif Poncho, and it is designed by Liz Salazar for Premier Yarns, and it calls for DK weight yarn. So this pattern comes in 2 sizes. The first size is extra small to large, and then the second size is 1X to 5X. Now, the bust circumference, there's 2 bust circumferences. You have your 54-inch and your 72-inch. And in centimeters, that's 137.2 and then 182.9. So you will need a 3.75mm F hook, and you will need to know how to chain, slip stitch, double crochet, single crochet, treble crochet, double treble crochet, double crochet 5 stitches together. Wow. V-stitches, picot stitches, working in joined rounds, joining as you go method, seaming panels together using a whip stitch. Wow, this pattern sounds challenging but fun. If you're looking for a nice challenging pattern, check out this poncho. I think you'll really, really enjoy it. Okay, so this pattern is made up of motifs that are joined together as you go, and then a lace border is crocheted directly to the bottom edge after you seam it. All right, awesome. Let's go to our next pattern. It is the Lacy Leaf Swimsuit Coverup, designed by Ashleigh Shoemaker of Heart Hooked Home. And it calls for sport weight yarn, and the hip circumference ranges between 34 to 62 inches, and that's 86.4 to 157.5 centimeters. You will need a 4mm G hook, and you'll need to know how to do back loop only, chain, double crochet 3 together, single crochet, and slip stitch. So in this pattern, there is a ladder effect, and basically the stitches are stacked in a ladder or a column. And then the column are separated by chains, and that results in an offset leaf motif. I think this is very, very clever. Okay, so our next pattern is the Hyperpop Raglan Tee, designed by Liz Salazar for Premier Yarns. I always find it interesting. Like each month I do these, and there are some months where it's like one designer is just rocking it out, coming with all the patterns. Like, I think it is so cool, and this is her month. This is her month. And also, apparently, a lot of designers decided to design with a 4mm G hook this month. That's that's really interesting. Okay, anyway, back to the pattern. So this calls for Aran weight yarn, and the bust circumference ranges between 32 to 64 inches. And in centimeters, that is 81.3 to 162.6. You will need a 4mm G hook and a 5mm H hook. You will need to know how to chain, slip stitches, single crochet, decrease, seam with the whip stitch and the mattress stitch, work with textured yarn, work in rows and joined rounds, and working through the back loops of stitches. So this tee is worked in pieces from the bottom up and then seamed. The cuffs and the border are crocheted directly onto the tee after you finish seaming. And I really like the texture of this top because you could use like some really fuzzy yarn for the sleeves and then a less textured yarn for the body, or you could reverse it. I think you have a lot of options here, but I love it. And from the pattern pictures that I saw, they mainly had like a child modeling it, but it goes up to a 5XL, so this will look great on an adult as well. Okay, the next one we have is the 3D Cube Cardi, designed by Wilma Westenberg of Will Made. Say that 3 times. Okay, so this one calls for worsted weight yarn, and the bust circumference ranges between 30 to 62 inches, and that is 76.2 to 157.5 centimeters. You will need a 5mm H hook, and in order to make this, you'll need to know how to chain, slip stitch, single crochet back loop only, double crochet, treble crochet, puff stitch, and the magic ring. So this cardigan features a striking illusion. It's like an optical illusion, and it is created by combining diamond motifs in 3 different colors. The diamonds are made separately and invisibly joined using a tapestry needle, while the sleeves and ribbing are added on afterwards. And I love that these patterns are free because I can really open the patterns and really read through it, so I can let you all know the construction of each of these patterns. So really nice. And I do see the optical illusion in this pattern. I think the front of the pattern is nice, but the back is gorgeous. Oh my gosh, I love the back of this cardigan. Let's move on to accessories. Okay, so the first accessory we have is the bright stripe crochet bag designed by Amy Gunderson for Premier Yarns. So this one calls for Aran weight yarn, and the finish width, or the size rather, it has a width of 15 inches, which is 38.1 centimeters, a height of 11.5 inches, which is 29.1 centimeters, and that's before the edging. And then it has a depth of 3 inches or 7.6 centimeters. You will need a 4.5mm crochet hook for this one. And in terms of skills, you'll need to know how to chain, slip stitch, single crochet, half double crochet, slip stitch seaming, working in the back loop, seaming with the whip stitch, and working through the bottom bumps of the chain. So this bag is made up of 1 large piece for the body, and then it has 2 sides, and those are your gusset panels. And then the gusset panels are joined to the body bag with body bag. I should probably say joined to the bag body. Body bag just sounds wrong. But anyway, so the gusset is seamed onto the bag's body, and you use whip stitches. And then both the body of the bag and the gusset panels are worked sideways. So this has a really interesting construction. I love the bright stripes, and I really like this bag. I also like the handle too. Okay, so our next pattern is the Like a Feather scarf designed by Janet Pippin of Simply Hooked by Janet blog. All right, so this one calls for worsted weight yarn, and the finished size is 60 by 3.5 inches. And in centimeters, that's 152 by 9 centimeters. You will need a 5mm H hook, and the skills include chain, single crochet, double crochet, beginning double crochet stitch, interesting, working in the back loop only, and decreasing stitches. It is a lovely neck scarf with tapered ends for easy wearing. It has simple stitches that create a feather-like design. Wow, look at this picture, y'all. Do you see the feather design? That is gorgeous. It is stunning. I love it. It is really beautiful. I don't know if I've seen it before, so that definitely makes it even more interesting. And y'all know I love tiny scarves, so this is going to be amazing to make. All right, the next one we have is the double crochet triangle scarf designed by Tiffany Griffin of Beautiful Dawn Designs. So this one calls for DK weight yarn. And the finished size, or the wingspan of the designer's shawl is 65 inches. And that is 165.1 centimeters. So you will need a 5mm H hook for this one. And you will need to know how to chain, slip stitch, and double crochet. Very simple. If you can do those 3 skills, you can make this pattern. Really simple. Chain, slip stitch, double crochet. You've got it. Okay, so the designer states that this triangle shawl works up quickly and uses just the basic stitches, making it a great pattern for anyone looking for an easy, relaxing crochet pattern. So there it is. There you have it. It would be great for beginners or advanced crocheters who just kind of want something easy to work on. All right, let's talk about our next pattern. We have the Moonbeam Scarves designed by Rachel Mason of Wool Intentions. And this one calls for worsted weight yarn. So it has 2 sizes. You have your mini scarf, and then you have your mini size, and then you have like your regular scarf size. So the mini is approximately 59 inches or 149.9 centimeters long. It is 6.5 or 16.5 centimeters wide, and that is at its widest point. The larger scarf is approximately 82 inches or 208.3 centimeters long, and it is 10 inches or 25.4 centimeters at its widest point. So those are the measurements for the mini size and the regular scarf size. And of course, I'm going to leave the links to all the patterns below. I know that was a lot of numbers, but I will leave the pattern linked below. So it calls for a 3.75 millimeter F hook, and you will need to know how to chain, double crochet 2 together, decrease and increase. And this crescent, why can't I say that word? The crescent shape pattern is worked from end to end. And it begins with increasing along one edge, and then it is worked evenly in the center, and then later it is decreased on that same edge. Increasing and decreasing always happens on the same side every row. So I really like that the designer included that. So when you're making this pattern, you know exactly what you're going to be doing. Let's talk about patterns for the home. Okay, so the first one is the Granny Square to Rectangle Blanket designed by Emma of the Crochet Swirl. This one calls for DK weight yarn, and the finished size is approximately 43 inches by 45 inches, or in centimeters, that's 110 by 115. So you will need a 4 millimeter G hook, and the skills you'll need include chain, treble cluster, granny stitch, half treble crochet, single or slip stitch, treble crochet, 2 stitches together. So this pattern calls for a lot of treble crochets. All right, so this blanket consists of 60 individual rectangles that are sewn together before a simple granny stitch border is added. So you're going to be working on a lot of squares here. It's going to be really interesting to see how these rectangles are constructed with the granny square stitch. I don't know. I think it's really beautiful. I love the pictures, and I thought that it maybe have been using like intarsia or something, but it didn't mention that in the pattern. So I don't know. We'll have to see. If you all make it, let me know. Okay, so the next pattern is the Homestead Granny Throw, designed by Elena O'Day of Odea of Theodore and Rose blog. So this one calls for super bulky weight yarn, and there are 12 blanket sizes for this pattern. There are 12 sizes. Oh my gosh. Think about how many different sizes you can make. You can make it all the way from the pram / stroller size to the king size. You can make a blanket for everyone in your family, from the babies to the adults. Everyone can get a blanket with this pattern. So you will need an 8mm L hook, and the chain or the skills you'll need include chain, single crochet, double crochet, and half double crochet. It is a beginner-friendly pattern with a 2-row repeat. Very simple. You only have to memorize 2 rows. I love that. All right, speaking of things I love, let's talk about what I am wearing. So this is the Saturday sweater designed by Tamara Kelly of Moogly. So I did an entire video on this sweater, and I will leave my Ravelry page linked in the description box, and that's going to have my video link as well. All right, so let me know what your favorite patterns were for today. Have you made any of these? Have you seen any of these? Definitely let me know which ones you're interested in. And yeah, that would be a lot of fun. And also, I do knit and crochet, so stay tuned for my knitting roundup for the month of July as well. And of course, I've already told you all this, but I recently started a new full-time job. So the videos are going to continue. I'm not going to stop making videos. They may not be as frequent as they usually are, but the videos are still going to happen. But anyway, let me know what you worked on while watching, or did you just chill? Let me know. I love reading you all's comments. Also, feel free to click that like button, my words today, the subscribe button, the notification bell, and that hype button. That's a lot of fun. All right. Thank you all so much for watching. And until next time, bye.